Hi friends, Tracy here from the Sewing Channel. Welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. Well now, that's just about right. I've been in the market for a sewing machine table for some time now. I've been sewing on my children's homeschool table that I bought for them when they were in kindergarten. It's a nice table and all, but it's not a sewing table. I wanted something that was inset for my machine, so that way I had way more space to deal with when dealing with big quilts and such. I did a lot of research on sewing tables. They were very expensive. And although I sew a ton, I didn't want to spend a ton on a table. I decided on the Flexi Spot height adjustable sewing table. This video is a full review on this table for sewing. I'll take you from beginning to end on this Flexi Spot journey. Stay to the end and I'll be sewing on my sewing machine on this table. Had to tweak my table just a bit. I have a very strong machine and it does have some vibration to it. But I'll show you how I troubleshot that. Enough talking already. Let the review begin of the Flexi Spot height adjustable sewing table. Delivery for the Flexi Spot sewing table was very quick, about a week. I was a bit nervous though. See where the arrow's pointing? There's a big slash right down the center of this box. Doesn't look good, right? So of course I took it in the garage, opened it up, and I checked everything out. Everything. Because I wanted to make sure that this equipment was in working order. I was so happy that everything was perfect. There was no gouges anywhere, no bending of any metal, nothing, and the electrical parts looked really good. Since this entire box weighed 110 pounds, I took it piece by piece to my sewing room because I was alone and I was about to put this thing together. It was packed really good in this nice thick foam, so I laid that foam down and then laid the tabletop on top of that foam, and that worked really well. The first thing the instructions tell you to do is to put the legs on. And so that's what I'm doing here, putting each leg on top of the bottom of the tabletop. And because this is a review, I'm going to be very honest with you. This table was insanely easy to put together. Very easy, even for me, and I hate to read instructions. Next, the directions said to put those long feet on top of the legs of the table, which again was very straightforward and very easy. It was 4 screws on each leg. This kit in the box also included all the tools to put this sewing machine table together, which was very good. I didn't have to go around and find any tools. I was very impressed with the solidness, the sturdiness of the structure of this sewing table. All of the pieces were so thick and heavy and solid. I wasn't really sure what I was going to get because the price was on the lower end and I thought surely it couldn't be that good, right? But this one seemed to really be so solid. Next, I had to mount that black box right there on the front of the table, and that had the buttons on it for the height adjustment, which connected with cords to the hydraulic system within this table. And I was a little intimidated at first, but I went for it and it was so easy. You just had to connect the cords, one to the other that it said in the instructions. It was totally easy. I mean, you can do this. If I can do it, you can totally do it. Now, next I made a mistake and I started to mount these side adjustment levels. They're like it's like wrought iron on the sides, and this is what gives you the height adjustment for your particular sewing machine so that it's more of a custom fit. Well, I went ahead and screwed those in first because I didn't follow the directions. It said to put that table part, the insert, in first and then put your screws in.
So here's just a video of me trying to put that insert in, and it's not fitting any certain way. So that's when I realized, oh, I have to take out all those screws now that I just put in and redo it. Okay, now I'm on the right track here. So you just had to put that insert in and get everything lined up nice. And once everything was lined up, it made a lot of sense, really. And then you put those screws in and tighten everything down. And there was also a black knob that you would loosen if you needed to move it up and down through those slots for the adjustment for the height for the sewing machine. Here I'm installing the side leaf to the table to extend it and make it bigger. And it was really easy. It just had a couple brackets, and once you screwed those on, you just slide it nice and easily, just like you see me doing here in the video. It slides right on. It's very basic. It does slide off and on rather easily, so I'm thinking you might need to retighten these screws again in the future if needed. The very last thing in the instructions were just to connect all those adapters together into that black box that I mounted earlier in the process. And it was really easy. I just followed what the paper said. I followed the diagram and everything went together very smoothly. They even included these really nice 3M cord keepers that you can stick underneath the desk and wrap the cords in to keep everything nice, neat, and tidy. I like that. Next, here I'm going to show you a shot of the entire bottom of this desk all put together. It really shouldn't take you more than 30 minutes to put this height adjustable sewing machine table together. Here are all of the measurements for this particular height adjustable sewing machine table and the price that was paid for this table. But how does it perform in the sewing room? Well, let's take a look. I'll show you everything.
I'm going to talk a bit louder because my microphone is way over there, but I wanted to show you here what was going on. This was that box that I was mounting on the bottom of the machine. It has an up button, and you press that and it'll keep going up to the dimensions that I showed you earlier. I mean, it goes really high. It'll tell you top once it hits to the very top, which is good. Then when you press the arrow down, it'll keep going down until it says BOT for bottom. And it just so happens that the very bottom number on this particular sewing machine, when it's in the last bracket for my particular sewing machine, is the absolute best position for me to sew in. Isn't that cool? The 1, 2, 3, and 4 that you see off to the right of those arrows are memory numbers. So if you have multiple sewists in your family or in your sewing studio, they can each program their own setting for the height that they would like their table. I'm a shorter person. I'm 5'3", so that works for me. But if I wanted to stand and sew, I could. Sometimes we get fatigued when we're sitting for so long, even though I have this really nice chair right here that I got from the Sew Yeah Brothers. Oh yeah, I'm gonna give you guys a plug. I told you earlier in the review, this piece right here comes off and on really easily, and it really does, and that's what made me a little nervous about it. There is no give here, so that's good. It seems to be pretty sturdy. Talked about vibration earlier. With these sewing machines, sometimes they're so powerful that they do have a lot of vibration going on. So this is how I tweaked that. In the box that it came in, there were sheets of really thick styrofoam. So what I did was cut a piece of that really thick styrofoam to fit in this area right here. and then I just put my non-slip grippy stuff there and then put a pretty one over top of it. And that helped with the vibration. Like I could tell a difference right away. And I also cut out little squares and put them underneath each foot as well. Because I used to have carpet in here, but I don't anymore. And now with this floor, the hardwood floor, it does give it more vibration for whatever reason. It's just the way it is. The other thing that makes my sewing machine vibrate is this top right here. Because it's not like secured solid in there, it's just got a little like peg that it goes into. You see here how wobbly that is? So I probably could put another piece of styrofoam underneath there as well if I didn't want that, but that doesn't bother me too much now that the rest of it's taken care of. Eventually I may get that insert. I probably will get that acrylic insert that goes in here to cover up these spots. You would take this piece off and then they make an acrylic insert for your machine. That's probably the route I'm going to go. But for now, this is what I'm doing. I push that all the way to the side, and of course this has different levels where you could bring this up, 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 and up, however, you know, the height of your sewing machine bed is, whatever works for you, that's the height that you would adjust this to. This piece of big thick styrofoam also came in the box with it, and I had to cut it and tweak it to fit right in here, because I don't want that gap there and I want as much sewing space as possible. That's why eventually I'm probably going to get the acrylic thing insert here. But for now, this is what works. This right here is up as close as it can go right there. And then for this, I just so there I have, it's pretty flush. I could add a little bit more to it, another piece underneath it maybe to get it perfect until I get the acrylic insert. It works great just in there like that. And I've noticed when I'm at the sewing machine that I now put my elbow here, which is kind of weird for me. I never could before because my sewing machine was always like right here in my face on top of that table. So it's kind of nice to be able to work it this way. But let's check it out. Let's sew with this thing. I want you to notice I'm leaning my arm right here. I never used to be able to do that, and that is a wonderful thing because that will take a lot of fatigue off of my arms, I do believe. Being able to lean that, even having my wrist right here, that's really gonna work. So this is full speed that my machine can go. Pretty nice. If I were to stand here and sew, I would have it at 38.7, I'm pretty sure. So I have my foot pedal, and you know I have it backwards because that's how I sew. I have my arms here, hopefully you can see. They're at that perfect angle. I can see my sewing foot. So when I get fatigued, I could just stand up and sew. The only thing is my knee lift is right here. So it's up too high for me unless I don't know how I would get in there. I'm probably not going to be able to use that. So I'm going to have to use my hand lift when I stand. That's probably the only downfall of standing and sewing. My final thoughts on this sewing table. Number one, the price point. I can't even believe it still that it only cost $370 some for all that you get with this table. It's amazing, really. I love the versatility of being able to stand if I get too fatigued from sitting. I love that. Nobody else in my household sews, so I'm not going to be using those extra buttons on the side, unless of course I just save one for my top height for standing and one for my bottom height. I could do that. The vibration thing was an issue. At first I thought, oh no wonder this table was only that much money. But after tweaking it and reading online that happens with these powerful sewing machines is the vibration, and you need to cushion that somehow. So I figured that out. In the end, I couldn't be happier with this table. So I'm going to give this a 5-star review. I believe this table deserves the 5-star review. And the other thing, it was so simple to put together. The directions were very pointed and very easy to follow. I'm even thinking about buying another one of these tables for my serger. I hope you enjoyed my review of the Flexi Spot height adjustable sewing table. Until next time on the Sewing Channel, take care.